Hi everyone and welcome to Rose Menagerie. I'm Crystal and today we're going to be looking at what we keep in our basket that we have here in the dining room for our homeschooling day. This is potentially going to be maybe 3-part video, and I apologize in advance if you hear my dog because she decided that she needs to start shaking right now. Anyway, in life, what can you do? Anyway, this is potentially going to be 2 or 3 videos where we kind of go through the organization and planning of our homeschool, and hopefully it's beneficial and helpful. If you give me a like, that'd be amazing, and subscribe if you'd like to see more stuff like this. And just welcome. So when I first started homeschooling, one of the issues that I came across personally was just knowing what to do with all the things. I came from being in a public school where, albeit we didn't have much storage, but we had a place for things and I knew where the things were, and it was just really simple. Whereas when you're at home, it's obviously your home as well as your classroom. So for a while I treated my home like that, and really it's a home. So it's not meant to look like you're in a public education, like you're in this classroom. So once I kind of released that for myself, I kind of fell into this organization like I have it, and I've loved it and it's been good. Essentially, this is the pretty side of it. And pretty, I mean just like organized, and it's not visually appealing is basically probably what I should say. But most of the extra things, like the boys' bells for their music, even their supplies and things, which I'll share those here in a second too. These all are held in their playroom, as well as like a binder where I have hanging folders. These where I put in the weekly worksheets and things. So I can just grab it quickly and just go. I basically try to do a lot of things ahead of time so that in the moment I could just be present and we can get things done. Okay, so yeah, so a lot of that is in that room, and I'm able just to access it as I need to. And the boys have they each have a drawer where they have like their coloring books and watercolors, and they have just a simple, what do you call this thing? Kind of funny how like you know what you're talking about, but you don't know what you're talking about. We call it a supply box. We got these at Walmart last year. They've been fine. It has a second compartment up here, which I thought was going to be awesome. No, just don't do it. It's more of a pain. But anyway, so they have their supply box, and in there they just have their crayons, they have their markers, pencils, and then we've done like sight words and different things. Those little things for just them are in there. Their scissors, glue stick, that kind of stuff. And then the curriculum that we used this year, General and Classical, she has a daily warm-up that they do. And so what I chose to do is print them out and put them into a spiral. And this is what the boys would do each morning while I was either finishing up breakfast or just kind of getting things ready to actually do our lessons for the morning. So those 2 things are not in here, but I wanted to share them because they are very helpful, very, very helpful. Okay, and as far as what is in the basket, literally it can be whatever you want it to be, and I hope I still have everything in here. I've been working on putting things away, and I actually waited on cleaning this out until this video, so here we go. But as you're watching, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I will try my best to answer them best I can. Essentially, I would just encourage you that your basket be whatever it is that you need it to be. I do have I have some dice in here. I have little flashcards, just things that we didn't need very often, but if I were like in a pinch, I would know exactly where they were, if that makes sense. All these things kind of go along with just what we chose for curriculum, which I'll do in another video. But the main things I wanted to share out of here that are regardless of curriculum is my Command Central, my binder. This was just in here so I could easily grab it, and inside of it I have all of our stuff just tabbed. So by stuff I mean our General and Classical is in here, our nature study is in here, our music is in here. So and I just did a sticky note for the dividers, the tabs, so that I can move the sticky note each week and just be able to get to that place where I need it to be very quickly. And anything else, like I have our 1,000 hours outside tracker in here, which if you have not heard of that, you should totally look into it. It's been really cool and exciting to do with the boys. But just anything that I need is in here where it's easy to get to, as well as our like lesson plan organizer for the week. Prior to homeschooling, I taught in a public school, so you know, having a lesson plan was something we had to turn in and all that good stuff. So essentially, I will share this in another video too, but this is like a little overview of the week by section. So essentially I could just go through here, and if we did it, I would check it off, or it'd just be like, you know, we're doing nature study unit 18. And so that I'd go in my binder to find 18 and figure out what we need to do that day. That makes sense. So basically it's just a good place to keep everything in one place so that I'm not scrambling and I can get to it easily. So this is great. If you have the option to be able to print out your lesson plans, this would be a good thing. You could easily just use your teacher editions too, and just have them in here, or however it is you choose to do your homeschooling. Things is something you can easily replicate, even just with a clipboard. You can kind of just be flexible and do your thing with that. But one of the things I learned as well is that you kind of you figure out what works for you. I've been working with the boys at home since they were 2, and every year looked different. Life happened and we had to regroup, but this is kind of where we have fallen, and we really enjoy it. And by we, I mean me. The boys could care less. Anyway, one other thing in here that's like regardless of curriculum that I think is really, really helpful. This is just a little easel stand thing, and it locks, and it has a thing in the back so that you can, ta-da, and it stands on your table. And then it even has these little dills where it holds the paper so that it doesn't fall. This became helpful as the boys were working on their nature things and or even on the instruments and trying to draw different things, rather than me trying to prop things up and just being frustrated with that. This was a great thing that I'm glad that we ended up buying. I don't remember, it wasn't very expensive either, and this will last us a very long time. So that's something I think would be beneficial to have. Okay. As far as what else is in here is really just kind of dependent on what we chose to do this year for our homeschooling. So, but I will go through it all because it's exciting. It is exciting. Tongue tied. So anyway, this is that hanging folder I told you about. It just has worksheets and different things in here that we would need during the week. We've finished our year, so it's kind of empty right now. But that literally, I'll either try to put a picture here or show you, maybe, I don't know. We'll see how I edit this. But I just have this tub and all my things organized by the week. Which I'm gonna go see that. And yeah. Okay, so this is the container I was talking about with the hanging folders, as well as just other storagey things for homeschooling. But this is what I was referring to when I was talking about having a bin with my hanging folders. And I've gotten to the end of the year, so this is just the extra stuff that we didn't get to, or that we did. Actually, this is actually stuff from last year that I never pulled out, so there's that. So you can see here, I have like the term and the week of the term, and then the date. And it's just, that's how it's set up. And so when it's this week, I can just pull it out, and everything I need is right inside. And it's a huge blessing and a help for sure. Sorry, I had to regroup. Man, sitting on the floor is not as easy as it used to be. Anyway, so yes, hanging folder, do it. Save your mind and your sanity. Do it. And then these are just some 10 frames that I made to go along with our math curriculum. They're just sitting inside of here. And then we did nursery rhymes and Robert Louis Stevenson for our poetry. So that's what these two are. And then we also learned about the orchestra. So this was part of our curriculum right there. And honestly, this was a good jumping off point. And then I would find YouTube videos and let the boys see kind of what they were doing. Let's see. We still have this book in here. This is our last read aloud that we did, which the boys really enjoyed it, and I did too. I never heard of the Pilgrim's Progress or Pilgrim's Progress, depending on how people pronounce it. and this is an adaptation of it, and I really liked it. It's been good. And then we're reading The Brambly Hedge. This was from a few weeks back, so I forgot to put it away. So there you go. Sometimes you're just gonna have your random stuff in there from weeks before too. And then what else is in here? I'll save this one for last because I want to talk about that one. Our art workbook. This was okay, but I'll talk more about that at some point. And then we have 2 more read alouds. These are part of our nature study. Ellie's Log and Geraldine Wilkins. I really liked both of these, but Ellie's Log, man, it's good stuff. And then this is one of our resource books that we use for nature study as well, all the time. This is a great book. This is a devotional. My intent was, it's called Long Story Short. My intent was to use this year, and we just didn't make a good habit of it. So we're gonna be starting this summer instead. But what we ended up doing was we read through the Beginner's Bible, and that was good. I think that was a good place for us. Our boys are 5.5 now, and so when they start the school year, they're kind of young for their age, if that makes sense. So this was a good starting point for us, I think. Let's see. And then here is the math that we did. I'm in love with this so much. Kate Snow, she taught in the classroom, and this is just fun. We had fun. We learned through playing games and loved it. I'm excited about us continuing with the kindergarten curriculum next year. We also did journals. So the boys each had a journal that they would work through throughout the year, and it makes it sound much more like, I don't know what the word is, but that makes it sound more difficult, or to me, like planning wise, but it really wasn't. Essentially, it's a piece of paper folded in half. I got these off Amazon. But what I did was I would print their worksheets on half sheets of paper. So like instead of doing just one sheet, I would do 2 sheets on one and then cut it in half. And then we would just do the activity, and then we'd tape it in. And like here's one of their art lessons that we did. Sometimes like this was instruments, talking about triangles. This was our assessment that we did. We talked about dandelions. And so we did an art project, dandelions, and then I put a collage together of things that we did learning about dandelions. This was fun. Nocturnal animals. This is them trying to do this, and then this was the actual nocturnal activity. And so you hold this up, and you have these animal cards, and you shine a flashlight through, and you can see the animal. In theory, it didn't work out the best, but it was a good talking point at least. So anyway, this is kind of just like a place for them to do their work, and it's more so for me like a thing for them to look back on if they wanted to. I've always been one that loves photo albums and things and memory books, things like that. So this may mean nothing for them, but it's meaningful to me, and I enjoy doing it with them. And I think it's just a great way to see how they've grown throughout the year too. And then the last thing, there's like, I think I said this earlier, there's Pokemon cards in here, but there's dice in here in case we need them for something. Just random stuff like that, flashcards. I said just that random stuff. Empty Ziploc bags, because those just show up apparently. But the last thing I was going to share though is our reading program that we did. They're called Learning Dynamics, or I think it's like 4 weeks to read. They have a couple different names. They recently partnered with the state of Texas to bring the curriculum into the classroom. So I'm not sure if I could figure out how for you to be able to get it. I'll link it below. I do know you can find a lot of their stuff on like thrift books or just places where people resell their curriculum. But the whole premise is that your child will learn to read in 4 weeks, which I don't know how true that is. I do know we did it for a semester, and the boys are reading. So, and that's not with me like being like forceful with it. It's just been kind of fun. But this is the workbook, and they have an app, and I love the simplicity of this. Literally 10 to 15 minutes a day. There's a little jingle that they sing. You talk about the letter, and then if you choose to use their workbook, you can, and they would just color the picture that begins with that initial sound. I chose to do it a little differently. I don't have any. We finished the worksheets that I just found some other worksheets on Teacher Pay Teachers that I liked that had just a little bit more depth to them than this. I think this would be great too, but you know, the teacher in music, I tried to go a little further. So I did that, and we would just review the letters as it went along with the curriculum. But the thing that, the reason I really want to do this is because it comes with little readers. This is just one set. I think there's like 3 or 4. I can't remember now. But anyway, you start the series with book 1, obviously. But it's very simple. It's just one word on a page for 4 pages. And it's great for building that like excitement in the boys. They felt like they were like reading already, even though they were just repeating what we had told them. I mean, and honestly, that is part of the reading process, is that repeating. So it doesn't bother me one bit. But I didn't realize that you were supposed to, as they got like comfortable with the book, you'd give them the next one, and then you give them, I totally missed that. I was waiting for them to be like, okay, today get book number 2 and let's do book number 2, and that never happened. And I wasn't worried about, like I said, because I wasn't trying to push it. I was just trying to have fun with the boys and see how it goes. And anyway, we finished the school. I realized that I had missed that part a few weeks ago, and so, which I said not a big deal. We just started reading the other books. So basically what they do is they get their reader, and we read it with them, and there's like comprehension questions in the back, which is great. And then if they read it, we have them read it to us 3 times. And when they do, they get a stamp, and it's their choice as to what stamp they want to do. And yes, we apparently have a Grim Reaper that they what they call it. Anyway, they don't call it that because they don't know what that is. But anyway, they get, each day they can get 1 stamp, and so they read it, get a stamp, get a stamp, get a stamp, and then once they fill up their stamps for that book, then they can read it to Daddy, and they do a good job reading it to Daddy, then they get the next book. So that's something fun that we decided to do with them. But yeah, that is my basket. Hopefully this is helpful, and basically just at the end of the day, just know that this is meant to be like just a way to keep like counters uncluttered. And I know for me, if counters are cluttered, then my mind gets cluttered, and it's just one more stress I don't need. So having everything in here where I can easily just grab it and go, and when I'm done, put it back, has been amazing and helpful. I hope it is for you too. Let me know, what was your favorite thing about having a basket? Do you think this is something you'd want to do? Do you have another idea that you think would be good? I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and I'll chat with y'all later. Be blessed. Bye.